everybody. It's Code It with AI episode 3, live from Orlando at Dev Intersection. I'm Carl Franklin from AppVNext. That's Jeff Fritz from Microsoft. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, it is a beautiful sunny day outside here in Orlando. I got to come back here more. Getting out to a conference like this and seeing folks, it's so good. So much fun.
It's very good, and it's a lot of fun. So this is episode 3. The first one we did sort of documentation with Claude Sonnet and the GitHub Copilot agent. And then we did in episode 2, instructions and prompts. And what are we going to do today?
I thought we would talk about how Copilot can help us with a little bit of continuous integration and generate GitHub Actions for us.
So tell me what we got here.
So I'm going to start off over on GitHub. And when I start a new project, I like to allocate a repository first. So let me go create a new repository here. I'm logged in. I'm going to go choose and set up that, yes, I am the owner. And we'll call this my first Blazor app. And we'll just build with Blazor because that's easy to use for me at least.
Yeah, for me too.
So I'll call this my first Blazor app. I'll make this public. I don't need a template. Sure, give me a README. Make sure you add a git ignore. And in our case with .NET, we like the Visual Studio git ignore, and we're going to make this MIT licensed.
Yeah.
Go ahead and create that.
So you like to do it here because you get all those options, right? Whereas in Visual Studio Code, you may have to add them later.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm going to grab my address there for this and clone it so that I can work on this here locally on my machine. So with that copied, I'll go over to my terminal and I'll just do a git clone, right? And at this point, I haven't done anything with Copilot yet.
Right.
But I'll drop into that folder and let's create a Blazor application. So .NET new Blazor, and I'll make this server interactive. It's int server, and I'll call it first Blazor app. There we go. Let's create a solution file, and I'll add the project to it. There we go. And yeah, I've got a capitalization thing there.
That's all right.
But
gives it character.
An uppercase character is what it gave it.
Hey.
So I'll start VS Code here, and we're in, and I can actually work with and tinker with my project over here if I wanted to. I can run it on the terminal down here. Right, I can drop into that folder, and I can .NET run and see it running and interact with it in my browser. And that's not bad, right? That's easy to see. Building, it works. I can click into the application, and there it is open in my browser. Fine. But I want this to build and verify that it's working properly on GitHub using continuous integration processes. And Carl, writing GitHub Actions means I need to write YAML files. And
I hate YAML. As everybody probably knows who listens to .NET Rocks, YAML is not my favorite thing to edit.
It's painful to use. It's a file delimiter that's invisible. So if you like tabs instead of spaces, it's kind of annoying to work with.
Yeah,
so I'm going to
put it mildly.
Yeah. So I'm going to work with our friend here, GitHub Copilot, and I'm going to have it turned on to agent mode here. And I'm just going to ask it, help me write a GitHub action that will build my application whenever I push changes to GitHub.
Okay.
Real simple prompt. And it's going to take a look at my project, and it knows what GitHub Actions are. It's going to start to generate a simple workflow file here.
Now, it's interesting that you didn't use the GitHub Copilot coding agent like inside the repository. You chose to use the GitHub Copilot agent in Visual Studio Code.
Yeah, I like to work locally here, you know?
Okay. But it knows enough to go out to the GitHub repo and do all the things that it needs to do, right?
Yep. And we can already see it's done. It's created some triggers, some build steps, and it's going to run on Ubuntu to go and run my application. Now, we're just before the release of .NET 10 here, and it's going to include and say, hey, you're allowed to run the pre-release version of .NET 10.
Okay.
It's got some suggestions for additional enhancements, to do some code quality checks with formatting our code, security scanning, and so forth, and even deploy to Azure suggestions.
Wow.
Let's just come over here and see what it wrote for us. So we're inside of the GitHub workflows build YAML file. It's naming this script build and test. When there's pushes to my main branch or pull requests against the main branch, it's going to execute this. So on an Ubuntu system, check out the code, set up .NET. We want .NET 10 and .NET Restore, .NET Build. I don't have any tests yet, but if there are, run the tests and then publish, upload some artifacts. I'm not a fan of uploading artifacts for all of my build scripts here because I'm not necessarily publishing a release for this. So I'm just going to delete these last two steps.
Okay.
And with just those changes, I can push this and it'll start building my application. So I'll go ahead and stage those changes. And then my favorite feature inside Visual Studio Code, the generate commit message button. Yeah. And it'll analyze my code and give me a reasonable commit message to get things started here.
So it may seem, and we should point this out, it may seem kind of, a trivial step that you would build it on GitHub because you're probably going to build and run before you push. But if you have a large application with a lot of steps in it and you're just, maybe you're merging something or you're just working on one piece of it and other people are working on other pieces of it, it's really important that everybody plays along. So that's going to come in a lot more handy when it's a larger project with a team, right?
Absolutely. And by establishing a continuous integration process early at the start of the project is going to make sure, to exactly your point, we're getting standard code that compiles and tests and is verified before it's allowed to be merged into the main branch of the repository.
Yeah. Right.
So let me head back over to GitHub.
Okay.
I'll refresh. And there's my list of workflows. Look at that, Carl. We've already got a check mark here that shows success. If we click into the actions, we'll see here, there's that workflow. And it had its one build step. And here it is. It went through and did all of those things and completed successfully.
So now if you had tests in your project, it would run the tests. Yeah,
absolutely.
And so again, think of a solution with multiple projects. You're only responsible for one of those projects. So you have your tests, but everybody else has their tests too, right?
Absolutely.
Or maybe you have one test for the entire solution, one set of tests.
Let's add a quick test project here and do a little bit more enhancement to this project. So I'm just going to open up my terminal down here at the bottom of Visual Studio Code. So let me create an XUnit test project here. So I'll do a .NET new XUnit, and I'll just call that project test. And it'll write that into a separate folder here. There it is. Test should have a reference to first Blazor app. I'm not going to get that sophisticated here, but let me just drop into this test project and make sure that I return a message that says that this test was successful.
Okay.
So, yep, I'll do assert true, just so I get a test that passes. And I can run that here at the command line with .NET test, restore complete, testing, and there it is, one test passed. That's all we're
Very
looking
cool.
for. But where I want some help from Copilot that's going to make this more interesting, yeah, Copilot gave us that build script that is going to run the test. Well, I want a little report to be delivered from that test so that on my pull requests, on my results, I get a little report that shows here's the number of tests that succeeded, just like I get right here in this little test summary.
That's great. Yeah.
So let's ask Copilot to add that. I'd like a report of test results attached to the conclusion of this GitHub action. So it's going to verify the workflow and then suggest some code that'll give us that little report.
Nice.
So it's updating the test step.
Yep.
And here we are, publishing test results.
Wow.
So there it is. Yes. Confirming, and here's what it's doing. I'll keep that. And
cool.
let's publish.
Yep. So now because all this stuff you did locally, you're just publishing it as a commit to the repo. You're essentially updating the CI/CD pipeline. So anytime there's new check-ins, all those tests are going to run.
You got it.
So cool.
So it'll run the tests and it'll deliver a little report at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So it's having a problem generating that test report. But here's the thing. We can ask Copilot to explain the error.
Ah, good.
So we can tweak and improve this.
It says your upflow doesn't have a file specified in the YAML or something. So can you just tell it to use option 1 or whatever and update the workflow?
This won't actually update. This doesn't have an agent connected to it.
Oh, okay.
So
it's just explaining the problem.
It's just explaining.
And what was the problem?
So it looks like it generated a log file and it couldn't find it. Let's tell the agent about the error and go fix it. GitHub Actions fails while attempting to publish results with error, and let it go examine and go fix it.
I love this.
So what's happening when we look at GitHub here, when it goes to run the test, I'm not getting any results, so there's no report to run. So let's make sure the test is running .NET Test in the appropriate folder.
Right. It's got to be in the test folder.
So I'll ask Copilot to go fix that.
Mm-hmm.
The .NET Test command is not actually testing the test project. Ensure this project is included in the test run. I didn't include the test project in the solution.
Ah. You're right. Problem identified.
Fantastic. Keep it, ship it,
run it.
There we go.
You know, this is very valuable to people who, you know, really appreciate seeing something fail and how we went ahead and addressed it.
Oh, yeah.
And use the tools to figure out what it is and then ask the agent to fix it. This is valuable stuff.
What I find compelling about working with Copilot is you can always ask Copilot to go review what it did,
right,
and fix something or improve something. And giving Copilot the text of an error, it can easily find those things and address and fix them for you.
Now we have another error.
Assets file. Let me add the test project to the solution.
Okay.
Let's do the right thing here.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. And I don't need this now because it's in the solution.
Okay.
And that should work because it specifies the right one. So I will add commits. And let's see it go one more time.
Mm-hmm.
There, it restored test proj.
Mm-hmm.
There's test DLL. There we go.
Yeah, and it works.
Now we've got our tests. So completed the job. And if we refresh, we now have a .NET test results over here. Click into that, and I have my little report with my one test that completed.
Very good,
So,
Jeff.
Importantly, when folks commit and GitHub reports, hey, this didn't work properly, they can see the results and see why it failed and be able to drill into those.
Yeah.
So
this is great stuff. And a good show, even with the bugs and the fixes and all that stuff. I think it was, again, very valuable. So thank you. Well, thanks, Jeff. That was really enlightening. And if you have something you want to talk to us about or a request or something like that, something you want to see, send us email at coditwithai@appvnext.com, and we'll check it out. And maybe we'll use your suggestions on the show. Thanks. See you next time.
take care, friends.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out blazortrain.com and blazorpuzzle.com for more great content.